Clint Harp may be an established TV personality today, but he's never had it easy. As a woodworker, small business owner, and television host, he's had plenty of reasons to celebrate, and plenty more reasons to sweat. Harp grew up bouncing between Georgia and North Carolina. A child of divorce, he spent most of his time with his mother and stepfather. Speaking with Austin American Statesman, Harp said they were constantly moving as his stepdad looked for work, and he always felt like the new kid in class. He tried his best to fit in, but as his family struggled to make ends meet, he wound up wearing a lot of hand-me-downs and trying to get by on charm. He told the Houston Chronicle that while his family could afford basic necessities, that was really all they had. Luxuries like name-brand clothes or even his own bedroom weren't always an option. In fact, when his family moved to North Carolina, a 9-year-old Harp actually had to sleep in the dining room with sheets for doors because the basement he was supposed to have to himself had mildew in it. Despite these challenges, Harp still sees his upbringing as a positive. He reflected, "I'm not ashamed of those days because they made me who I am."
There's a lot of people out there that have been through crazy things in their life and think, I'd like to believe there's something more.
Harp ultimately graduated from Dunwoody High School in Georgia in 1996. He then attended Baylor University in Waco, Texas, where he got a business degree and met his wife Kelly. While he dreamed of becoming a musician, Harp found work as a youth minister in Florida. Over several years, he cycled through a number of careers doing everything from mortgage brokering to selling copiers. But in 2006, the Harps decided to have a child. So Clint buckled down and got a job as a medical supplies salesman in Houston to support his family. He wound up making 6 figures. But he didn't like the work much, so with his wife's support, he quit his job in 2011 to pursue furniture making.
I wanted to pursue this dream of building furniture and owning my own company with my wife.
They moved back to Waco, where Kelly enrolled in a master's program, and Clint started hunting for a shop to launch their business, Harp Design Co. And while that sounds like a pretty uplifting story, the going got pretty tough. Within months, the Harps were on the brink of bankruptcy. As Clint recalled to the Columbus Dispatch, "We were out of money, things were not looking good. I thought, I'm an idiot for quitting my job." With several kids to take care of and no salary, making ends meet was a daily struggle that would scare any young parent. Things may have gotten tough for the Harps for a while, but they turned around in early 2012 when they bumped into Fixer-Upper host Chip Gaines at a local gas station. They hit it off, and not long after, Clint began working on the show. The series completely changed his life, bringing his family stability and allowing his business to grow. Ultimately, all good things come to an end. After 5 seasons, Chip and his wife and co-host Joanna Gaines announced they were calling it quits. It was a tough blow, but Clint tried to stay positive, telling the Austin American Statesman, "I was sad. It was an amazing chapter in everyone's life, but I'm so happy for them. They've worked so hard." He may have been out of a job, but Clint kept working hard. Fighting through his disappointment, he kept Harp Design Co. going, all while working on his own book, handcrafted a woodworker story, and filming his own shows. And while Fixer-Upper coming to an end was probably a tough blow for Harp at the time, it sounds like he maintained a good relationship with Chip and Jo. Clint and Kelly actually had their own Fixer-Upper episode during the show's first season, in which the Gaineses overhauled a home in Waco, Texas for them. And while the final product was beautiful, they only lived in the house for a few years before deciding to start using it as a rental property instead. It had a stellar rating on Airbnb, but things got a bit complicated when a Texas woman sued the Harps after a stay. Allegedly, she'd fallen down the stairs at the property and was severely injured back in 2016. According to the Waco Tribune-Herald, she claimed the house didn't comply with Texas laws requiring that staircases have handrails on both sides and equal heights between steps. As compensation, she asked for somewhere between $200,000 and $1 million. Sadly, that's not where the struggles involving that house stopped. It turns out all publicity isn't good publicity in the housing market, and their house proved a lot harder to sell than it did to rent. In 2021, the Harps listed the property for $899,000. They eventually took it off the market and relisted it for a much lower $650,000 in May 2024. The house didn't sell for another few months, and they ultimately had to drop it all the way down to $550,000 when they finally found a buyer in August 2024. The early 2020s were full of big changes for the Harp family. Not only did they sell that house, they also shut down Harp Design Co. in 2023. The shop had been in business for over a decade. Throughout those years, the Harp sold all kinds of handcrafted wooden pieces and grew the business into a thriving operation.
In Waco, my wife and I have this business, Harp Design Co., and we employed 25 to 30 people, and we've got our little storefront.
Clint and Kelly officially announced the closing on Facebook in early 2023. In the post, they celebrated everything they and their team had achieved, but explained that it was time for them to dedicate their time elsewhere. In addition to raising 3 kids, Kelly was pursuing her master's degree in clinical psychology, and Clint was filming his new show, Restoration Road. They reflected, "On one hand, this is a sad and difficult decision. On the other, this is an exciting step forward into what HDC might become next. And when we know what that is, we'll certainly let you know." And while that post left things fairly open-ended, it's worth noting that Harp Design Company sold off all its existing inventory, woodworking tools, and shipping supplies when it shut down. So whether or not the business comes back in some form, this era for the company is definitely over. And even though they had plenty of great reasons to move on, it was surely emotional for Clint to let go of such a big part of his life. Luckily, alongside all these challenges, Clint and his family have had a ton of great experiences as well. For one thing, Clint literally made his childhood dream a reality. Speaking with DIY Network, he explained that even as a child, he had a fascination with building and would often try to get his friends to grab some wood and get to work with him. He caught the bug from his grandfather, who built colonial-style homes, and let Clint work with him when he was little. As Clint recalled, "Watching him notch out massive timbers and beams and building things in a way that carpenters have been doing things for hundreds of years gave me an appreciation for going a little bit farther to do things in a way that will last for a long time." Luckily, his grandfather's support never wavered, and when Clint decided to enter the woodworking industry himself, Grandpa was quick to help out. As Clint revealed, "He sent me $1,250 when I was 25, and I bought my first tools, which ended up being the same tools with which I built our company, Harp Design Co." And as Clint got the shop up and running, good things just kept lining up for him. We all know he linked up with the Gameses when he most needed them, but by that point he didn't even have a workspace to get building. Luckily, Clint had spent a year volunteering at Waco's Habitat for Humanity after quitting his job, and the director actually let him rent the old Habitat shop just for $25 a month. Talk about everything coming together at once.
It was kind of a wild and crazy adventure, and it still is, but I'm happy to be on it, and it's a fun and exciting thing.
Even when Clint had an in with the Gaines family, he still needed to prove his game. And yet again, fate kind of intervened on his behalf on that front. When Clint finally got a shop space of his own, he began learning to turn table legs.
I didn't want to have just like straight legs. I wanted to have something that had some sort of decoration to it.
He once spent a whole day making one, and by the time he had a finished product, he wasn't even happy with it. Luckily, Kelly liked it and so did their kids, and when they decorated the place with some supportive stickers, Clint kept it around in the shop. And that's when Joanna stopped by. As he told DIY Network, "Jo stopped by with designs and she really wanted a turned leg for her farm tables. She looked over in the corner and saw the leg covered in my kids' stickers and said, 'That's it, I love it. Use that for the Magnolia farm tables.'" Well, that pretty much sealed the deal. A day's work he wasn't even proud of wound up solidifying a years-long partnership. It turns out beauty isn't always in the eye of the beholder. Sometimes it's just covered in stickers. Not only did Clint and Kelly take a huge risk by starting their own company, they also seem to have a great time together. Whether they're hanging out with their kids or just goofing around on social media, it's rare to see a picture of the couple without big smiles on their faces. And once Fixer Upper gained popularity, Kelly left grad school to help with Harp Design Co. Working together, Clint and Kelly were able to transform the business from a small mom-and-pop shop to a sizable company with a huge community backing it. Clint told the Baylor Business Review he always knew he wanted the shop to be somewhere others would want to work, and that's exactly how it turned out. He reflected, "We wanted to include other craftsmen and craftswomen who do their own thing. We had this vision of a store filled with not only goods that we make, but also goods that other people make, and information about those people. We're getting to do that now." Throughout their time running Harp Design Co., Clint and Kelly clearly found a lot of success. But instead of letting it go to their heads, they've consistently found ways to use their resources and platform to help the world around them. First off, Clint built with sustainable items whenever possible, and he became an ace at building beautiful pieces with reclaimed wood. In addition to responsible workmanship, Harp Design Co. also publicly supported and spread the word about various charities. It would even use occasions like Giving Tuesday to educate fans about different charitable organizations and promote them on its website. And on top of all that, Clint has also tried to use his story to inspire other people to follow their dreams the same way he and Kelly followed theirs. He's even gone out and given talks about his journey. He has explained to Dallas Culture Map, "I'm not going to tell anyone else to throw caution to the wind, but those struggles are part of our story. I'm going to share all of the details you don't get on Fixer Upper. I find that in telling that, people feel hope." Fixer Upper may not have lasted forever, but that doesn't mean we haven't seen the Harps on TV lately. In June 2016, a Clint-centric show piloted on the DIY network called Against the Grain. The first episode featured Clint building furniture for other members of the Waco community. And while Clint was excited about the opportunity, he told the Waco Tribune he was nervous about how the show would turn out. Unfortunately, Against the Grain wasn't picked up, but that certainly didn't stop the Harps. DIY Network swooped back in and they began working on another show that would highlight more of the group efforts that Clint, Kelly, and the Harp Design Co. team were all about.
We're a creative crew of carpenters, artists, and craftsmen, banging out custom furniture.
So in March 2017, the pilot for Woodwork aired, and it was ultimately picked up for a full season. Of course, a few years later, Clint found even more success on TV with his 5-season run hosting Restoration Road. That series took him out of Waco and all over the country to help use his skills as a woodworker to bring old buildings and historical items back to life.